The store was crowded in a way that made the air feel heavy. Bright white lights reflected off polished floors. Shopping carts rattled, and voices blended into a low, constant hum. It was the kind of busy afternoon where no one really noticed anyone else until something went wrong. Nia Robinson, a 23-year-old black woman, stood near the exit, holding a small paper bag in one hand and her purse in the other. She had just finished a long shift at the daycare where she worked, and exhaustion clung to her bones. All she wanted was to go home, eat something warm, and rest her feet. She checked the receipt one last time, out of habit, and folded it neatly into her wallet. As she stepped forward, the automatic doors didn't open. Instead, a loud voice cut through the noise. "Miss, stop right there!" The entire front of the store seemed to freeze. Nia turned slowly. A tall man in a blue blazer with a store badge clipped to his chest marched toward her. His face was tight, his eyes sharp and suspicious. Behind him, a security guard followed, arms crossed. "I need you to come with us," the man said loudly. Nia's heart skipped. Is something wrong?" she asked. The manager looked her up and down, his gaze lingering just a little too long on her hoodie, her sneakers, her natural curls pulled into a bun. "We believe you took something without paying," he said. The words landed like a slap. "I what?" Nia blinked. "No, I paid for everything." A few shoppers slowed their carts. Others stopped completely. Phones came out. Whispers started spreading like wildfire. The manager crossed his arms. "Then you won't mind stepping aside while we check." Nia felt heat rise in her chest. "I didn't steal anything," she said more firmly now. "You can check my bag." The security guard stepped closer. "Let's not make a scene," the manager said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Just cooperate." A scene. Nia looked around. People were staring. Some curious, some judgmental, some already convinced she was guilty. Her hands began to shake, but she forced them still. "Why me?" she asked quietly. The manager didn't answer. Instead, he pointed toward a small desk near customer service. "Over there, now!" Nia walked slowly, every step feeling heavier than the last. Her ears burned. Her throat tightened. She could feel her heart pounding against her ribs. She thought of her mother's voice. "Always keep your receipt. Always stay calm. They look for any excuse." At the desk, the manager gestured sharply. "Empty your bag." Nia hesitated for half a second. "I haven't done anything wrong," she said. The manager scoffed. "Then prove it." Her fingers trembled as she placed the bag on the counter and opened it. Inside were exactly what she bought. Baby wipes, cereal, juice, and a small stuffed toy for her little niece. Nothing else. The manager frowned. "That doesn't mean anything," he said quickly. "You could have hidden something." The words stung more than she expected. "I told you," Nia said, her voice shaking now. "I paid." "Where's your receipt?" he demanded. Nia reached into her purse. But before she could pull it out, the manager turned to the crowd. "This is why we have to be careful," he announced. "People think they can just walk out with whatever they want." Nia's chest tightened. "People think?" A woman near the checkout whispered something to her friend. A man shook his head slowly. Someone else muttered, "Unbelievable." Nia felt tears burning behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She pulled out her wallet. The manager snapped, "Hurry up!" Her fingers brushed the receipt, but before she could fully unfold it, the security guard spoke. "We should call the police," he said casually. "Let them sort it out." "Police," the word echoed in her head. Her breath caught. Her vision blurred. "No," she said quickly. "There's no need for that. I have the receipt." The manager raised an eyebrow, clearly enjoying the power. "Then let's see it," he said. "Because right now it doesn't look good for you." Nia unfolded the receipt with shaking hands. But before she could hand it over, a voice from the crowd spoke up. "Hey, I saw her at the register." Everyone turned. A middle-aged woman stepped forward slowly. "She was in front of me. She paid. I remember because the cashier had trouble scanning the toy." The manager stiffened. "Well," he said sharply, "that's not enough proof." Nia's heart sank. Not enough. She looked down at the receipt in her hand, the thin piece of paper that suddenly felt like the heaviest thing she had ever held. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "I didn't steal anything." But no one seemed to hear her anymore. The manager reached out. "Give me the receipt." Nia looked up at him, pain and fear mixing in her eyes. What she didn't know, what no one in that crowd knew, was that the receipt in her hand wasn't just proof of payment. It was about to expose a truth that would leave the entire store. And the manager himself, completely silent. Nia held the receipt like it was made of glass. Her fingers trembled, not because she was afraid of being caught doing something wrong, but because she knew exactly how quickly situations like this could spiral. One accusation, one raised voice, one wrong assumption, and suddenly you weren't a customer anymore. You were a suspect. The store manager snatched the receipt from her hand and scanned it quickly, his eyes moving left to right with impatience. His jaw tightened, not with relief, but irritation. "This proves nothing," he said sharply. "Receipts can be fake." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Nia's head snapped up. "Fake?" she repeated. "Are you serious?" The manager folded the receipt once, slowly, like he was savoring the moment. "You could have picked it up off the floor. People do it all the time." Something cracked inside her. "I watched the cashier ring her up," the woman from earlier said again, louder this time. "She paid." "Ma'am, please mind your business," the manager replied coldly. Nia felt heat rise behind her eyes. She took a deep breath, the kind her mother had taught her. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6, but it barely helped. "This is humiliating," Nia said, her voice shaking but clear. "You're accusing me in front of everyone for no reason." The manager leaned closer. "We don't accuse without reason." The implication hung in the air. No reason, except her. The security guard shifted his weight, clearly uncomfortable now. "Sir," he muttered under his breath. "The receipt does have today's timestamp." The manager shot him a sharp look. "I said I'll handle it." Nia noticed something then, something small but important. The manager hadn't checked the receipt number. He hadn't checked the register ID. He hadn't checked the cashier name. He didn't want proof. He wanted control. More people were watching now. A few phones were openly recording. The whispers had grown louder. "This is messed up," someone said. "She has a receipt. They always do this." Nia's heart pounded harder with every word. She straightened her shoulders. "If you think I stole something," she said, "then check the cameras. Right now." The manager scoffed. "We don't need to." "Why not?" she challenged. "Because they'll show the truth?" That struck a nerve. His face darkened. "You're being aggressive." Aggressive. For standing still. For speaking calmly. For asking to be treated fairly. "I'm being accused," Nia replied, her voice trembling with anger now. "And I'm allowed to defend myself." A young employee near customer service spoke up hesitantly. "I can pull the footage," she said. "Register 4, right?" The manager snapped his head toward her. "Stay out of this." Nia looked at the girl. She couldn't have been older than 19. Their eyes met for a split second, and in that look was shared understanding. Fear and courage. The girl swallowed hard. "But sir, if she paid, the footage will show it." The crowd went silent. Everyone waited. The manager hesitated, just for a moment. Then he laughed dryly. "Fine," he said, "let's see it." They moved toward the small monitor behind customer service. Nia stood frozen, her legs weak, her heart in her throat. What if something went wrong? What if the camera angle missed it? What if the system glitched? She hated that doubt lived inside her. Hated that even when innocent, she had learned not to trust the system. The screen flickered. The employee clicked a few buttons. And then, there she was. Nia watched herself on the grainy footage. Hoodie, purse on shoulder, placing items on the counter, waiting patiently as the cashier struggled with the barcode on the toy. The timestamp matched the receipt exactly. The cashier scanned each item. Total appeared on the screen. Nia reached into her purse. Paid. Clear as day. A collective gasp moved through the crowd. "Oh, wow. She really did pay. This is embarrassing." The manager's face went pale. But instead of apologizing, instead of admitting his mistake, he did something worse. He folded his arms and said, "Well, mistakes happen." Nia stared at him. "That's it?" she whispered. "That's all you have to say?" He shrugged. "You're free to go." Free, as if she'd been detained for a reason, as if she owed him gratitude. Her chest tightened painfully. "No," she said softly. "You don't get to do that." The manager frowned. "Excuse me?" "You don't get to accuse me, humiliate me, threaten me with police, and then just say mistakes happen, she said, her voice growing steadier with every word. You don't get to act like this didn't matter. The crowd leaned in. A man near the entrance clapped once. Then another person joined. Then another. The sound filled the store. The manager looked around, shocked. Nia felt tears spill over. Not of weakness, but of release. For the record, she added, her voice breaking, I did nothing wrong, and you owe me an apology. Silence. The manager opened his mouth. But before he could speak, a calm, authoritative voice came from behind them. I think she's owed more than that. Everyone turned. A woman in a tailored coat stood near the entrance, her badge clipped neatly to her lapel. District Operations. The manager's face drained of color. Ma'am, I didn't realize... She raised a hand. Oh, I'm very aware of what happened, she said calmly. I've been watching. Nia's breath caught. The woman's eyes met hers, steady, respectful. And so has corporate. The store was silent. The truth wasn't just exposed anymore. It was about to have consequences. The store felt different now. Quieter, heavier, the kind of quiet that follows truth when it finally lands. The woman from District Operations stepped fully into the circle, her presence commanding without being loud. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Authority sat naturally on her shoulders. My name is Angela Brooks, she said calmly. I oversee operations for this district, and I've been in this store for the last 30 minutes. The manager swallowed hard. You've been here? He asked. Angela nodded. I was observing customer experience today, unannounced. Nia's heart thudded. The manager's face drained of color. I was just doing my job. Angela turned to him slowly. No, she said. You weren't. She gestured toward Nia. You accused a paying customer of theft without evidence. You escalated the situation publicly. You threatened police involvement. And you continued even after proof was presented, the crowd murmured. Nia felt her knees weaken slightly, but she stood tall. For the first time since the accusation began, she didn't feel alone. Angela faced Nia now. Miss, I want to personally apologize for what you were subjected to today. This should never have happened. Nia's throat tightened. Thank you, she said quietly. But this isn't just about me. Angela nodded. I know. She turned back to the manager. Do you know how many complaints we've had like this? She asked him. He said nothing. Angela continued, her voice steady but cutting. Customers of color being followed, stopped, accused, all under the excuse of store policy. The manager's lips trembled. I was just being cautious. Angela's eyes hardened. Caution is checking cameras first. Caution is discretion. What you did was profiling. The word hit the air like thunder. Profiling. Nia felt tears well again, not because she was breaking, but because someone had finally said it out loud. Angela took out her phone and tapped the screen. Corporate is already reviewing this. Incident, footage, audio, witness statements. She looked around the store. And judging by the number of phones recording, there are plenty of witnesses. The manager glanced at the crowd, faces no longer judging Nia, but him. Angela turned to him one last time. You are suspended effective immediately, she said, pending termination. A gasp rippled through the store. The manager staggered back slightly. You can't... I can, Angela replied calmly. And I am. Security stepped forward. As the manager was escorted away, his eyes flicked to Nia, not with anger anymore, but fear. The power he'd held minutes earlier was gone. Just like that, the crowd slowly began to disperse, whispers replacing stares. Nia stood there, shaking now, the adrenaline finally wearing off. Angela approached her again, softer this time. Are you okay? She asked. Nia nodded, though tears streamed freely now. I think so. Angela handed her a bottle of water. Take a moment. Nia took a sip, her hands still trembling. I want you to know, Angela continued, your receipt didn't just clear your name. It exposed a system that needs fixing. Nia looked up. My receipt? Angela smiled gently. Yes, the timestamp, register ID, cashier number, it all lined up. That's not something a fake receipt can do. Nia let out a shaky laugh through tears. My mom always told me to keep it. Angela chuckled softly. Your mom gave you good advice. The cashier from earlier stepped forward, eyes glossy. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I should have spoken up sooner." Nia met her gaze. "You did speak up," she said kindly. That mattered. The young employee from customer service joined them. "I pulled the footage because I've seen this happen before," she admitted, "and I didn't want it to happen again." Angela nodded approvingly. "That's how change starts." Angela then turned back to Nia. "We'd like to compensate you," she said. "Refund your purchase, provide store credit, and formally document this incident." Nia listened, but her mind was somewhere else. "I don't want special treatment," she said softly. "I just want this to stop happening." Angela studied her for a moment, then smiled. "That's exactly why we're taking this further." She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "We're revising training protocols, updating reporting procedures, and this incident will be used as a case study, anonymously, unless you say otherwise." Nia's heart pounded. If telling my story helps someone else, then yes, she said. Angela nodded. "It will." As Nia finally walked out of the store, the automatic doors opened smoothly this time. Sunlight poured in. She paused just outside, breathing deeply, letting the warmth hit her face. A woman who had watched earlier stepped up beside her. "You were brave," she said simply. Nia shook her head gently. "I was just tired of being quiet." The woman smiled. "That's how change happens." Nia looked down at her wallet, still holding the folded receipt. Such a small thing, such a powerful thing. She slipped it back inside, not as evidence anymore, but as a reminder. That her voice mattered. That truth mattered. That sometimes, even a piece of paper can silence a crowd. And as she walked away, head high, heart steady, she knew one thing for certain. She wasn't just cleared that day, she was heard.